Hi, guys.
I was imagining playing the cymbal in that. I was like, dun, dun, dun. I mean, the triangle.
The triangle.
Yeah.
A well-placed triangle is a thing of beauty in music.
Indeed.
Hi, guys. Welcome to Tavern Talk, our Sunday spoiler-filled show. Jansen, Flesh Tom, Ryan should be here momentarily as soon as he, winds up his computer again.
He's got
to put it in the sun so it could get solar. I don't know.
The pull start wasn't working.
Yeah. Welcome, gentlemen. Beth will not be joining us this week. We love her, and we'll see her next week. In the meantime, gentlemen, how are you doing?
Pretty good. I was at Disney this weekend.
Nice.
It was hot as fuck.
I was just going to ask, how hot was it?
116.
So it's like is that Disney in Florida?
Yeah.
Okay.
116.
Damn, man.
Is there a water park there?
Yes.
I bet you that was
I think a kid died there from getting eaten by an alligator once.
He died. Actually, he died. It was on Disney property, but it wasn't like anywhere where you're supposed to be swimming. They hopped over a fence, went into an area that had signs everywhere that said alligators, and it was like a 2-year-old. He got literally eaten by an alligator.
Nothing gets by Dana Lou. Hello, Zool. Jansen is in a different locale. I kind of like it. I like the lighting. I like the background. It looks great. And let's say thank you so much to MaTsDaGger. Your kindness is only exceeded by your cute dimples.
Absolutely. He's the man.
Old Cully Dan looking Josh's. I was trying to grok. Thank you for noticing. That was I was trying to do that. I was trying to summon my inner Josh.
It's quite the grok, sir.
Because we are so as Tavern Talk oft is, it is an extension somewhat of our first time reader show. And our first time reader, Josh, we had just met the kin. We are in a crown of swords. And so I thought, let's talk about the kin and wilders and all female channelers that are not tower trained or are released or the tower just are unaware of them. And we're gonna talk about all the other lady channelers, if you will.
I actually have a question for you. I need clarification. So are we talking about female channelers, or are we talking about people who channel Sidene?
I think with very few exceptions. What? Go ahead, Jess.
Sidene, you mean the male half?
I mean Sidar, sorry.
Yeah. What?
Yeah, we can bring in that one or two person.
Okay. Well, I mean that's what it is. If it's female channelers, then it's people who are female who channel.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so that's what we're talking about. Okay, I was just making sure because I wasn't sure.
Anyone who isn't an Aes Sedai who channels, more or less. So, for instance, I would think that all the Forsaken would not count because they were tower. Well, I guess they were Aes Sedai. Were they not?
Not all of them. No,
they were not.
No, Semiraj, Lanfear. No, Semiraj might have been. Lanfear wasn't.
Mirage was definitely one. Lanfear was.
Lanfear was not an Aes Sedai. She was never an Aes Sedai. That I know unequivocally.
I thought they all were.
Murns Sedai says that Murns Sedai gave me her blessing to get married.
In what? When? Where?
Okay, go back to the Shadow Rising. Go to Shadow Rising. Go to the Road to the Spear, and go to Charn, who got hung by the people because he used to preach that Lanfear used to be a good person. He used to work for her. And when they go to his POV, he actually says to the book and to himself, Murns Sedai gave me the blessing to get married.
And we're sure she was talking about that because when 100%. I looked up, it said, I looked up which Forsaken weren't Aes Sedai, and it said Lanfear wasn't an Aes Sedai.
I'm telling you, that might be true, but the book says Murns Sedai, And I know her name was Mirren because she almost killed Osmonian for even saying, "Help me, Mirren."
Oh, I know her name is Mirren, yeah.
And Charn.
It says the Forsaken, name given to 13 of the most powerful Aes Sedai, the Age of Legends, thus among the most powerful ever known, who went to the Dark One during the worship. I mean, I'm getting it from the glossary.
Okay. Yeah, so then WOT Wiki is just wrong.
Yeah, I don't know.
Well, I looked up, I was like, because I wasn't sure. I thought there were some Forsaken that weren't Aes Sedai, but
I think there were
I
some.
wasn't.
Sorry, I think there were some that didn't get their third name.
Correct.
Yeah. So does that mean that those weren't Aes Sedai?
No, that when you got the third name, that means you're just more honored.
You were, yeah. It was a higher honorific.
It's like Sir Elton John.
Okay, so then just WOT Wiki was just wrong then. Okay.
Yeah. I mean, I don't know. I mean, I guess we can throw in Forsaken if we want to talk about them.
No. They were Aes Sedai. We can't talk about them.
We can.
No, we can't. That's the title of the show. We can't talk about them. They're Aes Sedai.
Well, let's talk about the kin then. The kin are a so Jansen, describe to me exactly what the kin. How is the kin? To me, it's a little vague how they were rounded up into this area. Were they kind of like sheepdog corralled to go there?
Well, the crazy thing about the cool thing actually about the kin is that they have developed almost as long as the entire White Tower has. So their traditions and their their values, the things, their customs, they have morphed and gradually gotten stronger or weaker or changed over the years, just as long as Tar Valen's been, and they've managed to keep themselves hidden to a certain extent, and the fact that they don't know how many of them there are. I suspect that back in the day, for like earlier on, before the books were written, or at least in the timeline, more people were coming into the kin than they were in the present.
The premise. The premise, it seemed, was that if they would not take you in if you were a wilder. They didn't want to take anyone in who wasn't at least somewhat tower trained, but then put out of the tower or run away.
Yeah.
So there was, but so I assume that these were all novices. These never really got to accepted. Is that true then?
There is, because there's proof of that in their customs. In almost, you're not going to call it the 3 oaths or, an acceptance testing, but they have those 3 specific questions that they ask anyone before their initiates, and they're things that only novices would know. Which is why Nynaeve did not know some of them, and Elaine answered for that question because Nynaeve was never a novice.
Yeah.
What a flex. She's like, yeah.
That's like jumping over from like freshman and junior just straight to varsity.
JV.
The other interesting thing about the kin is like not only do they have like really strong traditions, as strong as the White Tower and stuff, but like they've survived more intact and more pure from when from older generations because the kin live longer.
Yeah.
So like, their actual traditions and the way they think and the way they learned 400 years ago survived to the time of the book. So like where there's one Aes Sedai that's even close to that age, and it's still 100 years off or more. And then there are several kin that are close to that age. So it's
and they also still manage to make themselves respected as a respected group in Abu Dar with the wise women that were known for healing throughout the world, which I suspect has a lot to do with Samitsu, who was probably the greatest healer in the books, who was kin, because she outmatched Nynaeve even in some of her work.
Well, and so that is a good point that and you had made earlier that the kin know how many they had. I think they said there was exactly 1,872 or something like that. The White Tower has no idea how many there are at all. They just kind of send them out into the world, but they also know about this organization. So I don't know.
Well, they you know how Aes Sedai like to use everything to their, that they have on hand, and they use that knowledge of the kin as a way to track their runaways, which made them almost infallible, which was one of the things that being an Aes Sedai meant, like having that, mystery and knowing that Aes Sedai can find you and you can't run away, and that everyone knows if you run away from a sister, they'll eventually find you. That's one of the ways they used to do that.
Yeah. I mean, but was this a symptom of neglect from the White Tower themselves, that the kin had to assemble themselves?
Well, they have rules, and I think those rules got laxed when Egwene Alvear was raised later on, but they missed out on a lot of, to quote Egwene, they couldn't afford to lose any kinds of strength. And, they missed out on many, many, many people, I think, as far as Wilders, as far as, them being so mysterious and so aloof and so full of themselves, even thinking that they knew everything, being blind to the sea folk, Windfinders, being blind to the Yule Wise Ones, even when given proof, being blind to the Damani from Shanchan for
right
time until they saw it. They believed that their way was the only way, the right way, and that how could anybody know more than Aes Sedai?
Mm-hmm. They were just as arrogant as the Forsaken.
Yep, exactly. Yeah, they were. Yeah, definitely.
Now, I like to think that all these subgroups are on one level set to highlight the failings of the White Tower, and they highlight the how, like, the structural differences. I mean, how the White Tower is structured and how their training seems to just be full of brutality. So I my question is, now we're talking about the kin, is there any way we can be critical about the kin, how they organize themselves, how they structure themselves?
Well, the fact that they only supported tower-trained channelers is an easy one. Like the fact that they only put stock in channelers that were trained by the tower, and then also how they almost deified the Aes Sedai.
Yeah, held them in such reverence that they could do no wrong. Even when one of the Darkmen tried to kill them, they still treated her with like the utmost respect. And
that's
merely a flesh wound.
That's honestly the only negative I could say about them. But then I would even caveat it with, they were at least willing to learn when they found out, like they had once they found out that the Aes Sedai were not infallible and amazing like they thought they were, they adapted pretty quickly to being like, I think we're actually smarter than them and we need to do our own thing. And they did.
That was with help too. That was with Nynaeve's help.
Yeah, where the Aes Sedai are so slow to do anything and so dug into everything that they end up doing the wrong thing for a very long time just because they don't want to change. And
good point, Dana Lou. So Dana Lou says,
yeah, that's a good one.
Well, one of the failings is that they didn't allow to have relationships with men. Nice. Oh, Mistress Dovie, Beth is not feeling well. She'll be back next week, hopefully.
Yeah, she's not going to stream her gaming tonight either. Sad day.
Yeah, one thing that struck me as weird about these women who could channel and that were not Aes Sedai, when you're talking about age and we're talking about how the kin lived so much longer, and they also in the books talked about how the wise ones lived a long time. How come they never talked about how the Windfinders must have had to live a long time as well?
They probably just don't talk. Well, we do know that when the Windfinders and or at least the channelers among the Sea Folk, as they get older, they kind of retire to Tremalking, and no one is allowed on Tremalking for the most part. Like the very few outsiders are allowed on Tremalking. So, like,
see, but when someone's mistress of the ships, or when someone's when Windfinder dies, who goes back to the beginning of the rank? Is it the Windfinder or is it the captain?
I think it's the female, so I think it's the Windfinder.
Because that would make more sense for the Windfinder, because there are instances they talk about in the book with some of the Windfinders that look like they at one point had many, many more earrings than they did before. So maybe maybe they went through it over and over and over and over again.
Yeah, and just like the same kind of problem that most of the groups have in this entire existence, I won't even say world because it's like multiple worlds, is that they're very isolationist and very secluded, and they seclude themselves. So they it's kind of obvious almost that well, not obvious, it's kind of evident that most people wouldn't know. We don't get a lot of stuff from, or maybe any, if I'm not mistaken, like point of views from any sea folk. If we get any, it's very, very few, and it's probably only
from Shallan.
Yeah, it's very few. What's the really strong Windfinder? Talon?
No, not from Talon. We got it from Shallan talking about, remember when she cheated on her husband?
Right. Okay. Yeah, but they don't think about like their hierarchy that much, or like, oh, this Windfinder has been a Windfinder for 200 years, like, so I'm sure they do, because we know women who channel who don't swear the O's live for a very long time. So,
well, what I'm picturing is some women with some like old ass blobby tattoos, man. So you ever seen like those old sailors, like from Korea and stuff, and they may have had a cool ego at one time, but since they're on the boat a long time, like it just looks like a big blob of ink.
Or I wonder if they could touch them up with the one power.
Oh, yeah.
Should.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, folk are fun when they describe some of them. Like some of them have like really like leather voices. Some of the women have like gimpled Popeye eyes.
Yeah, they're all crusty, man.
It's got to be sun.
That's the sun. That's the sun, though.
They're crusty punks, man.
Yeah.
The kin. Let's stick with the kin, and then we'll move back onto it. The kin themselves. There is no need for kin. The kin is so third age.
Okay. I like the kin, and I like the way that Egwene adopted them to be like where the Aes Sedai go when they retire, so that they can unswear the oaths. Like, I like that.
I like that too. But they're also not just that though. They're in charge of the hospitals and transportation going into the fourth age. They made something new of themselves. Or expanded at least, from being the wise women in Abu Dar to being full doctors and running hospitals. And now they've also started a transportation ring. So they're pretty dominant force of wealth, of commerce, of, acknowledgement. I have to believe that them and the Grey Aja would work together extensively with traveling and things like that. So, and they're more skilled than the Aes Sedai in many, many different things.
Yeah, well, they have a lot of their willingness to think outside the box, and like so something I always thought was that the Wilders are more adept to learning a wider variety of things, like becoming not a jack of all trades, but being able to adapt to learn a wider variety of ways of channeling and different types of channeling and different weaves and things than the tower trained Aes Sedai are, because they're more structured and focused. Like, they're probably better at certain things, like a few things, like on their scale is way high, but on the full scale or the full spectrum of channeling the one power, Wilders are probably just better at things because they have to learn on the fly. They had to adapt. They had to teach themselves, where a lot of the channelers, like especially ones who were discovered prior to the spark like activating inside of them, they've known nothing other than tower training. Like an Aes Sedai who's brought to the White Tower as, before the spark, activates, or however you want to put that. And then they've done nothing but learn at the White Tower the entire time.
So Josh, I'm sorry, Tom, can you just give us, we'll switch to Wilders. Describe to us what a Wilder is.
Well, I mean, honestly, I don't like the term wilder, but it's just the only thing that we have. But it's just like the way I view it, and the way I've thought of it in a lot of, so like I made a couple of D&D settings that are based in the wheel time, and wild. Basically, what I did is, are you an initiate? As in, are you trained by the wise ones, the Ashaman, the Windfinders, the Kin, the Aes Sedai? Or are you a wilder in the sense of you're not an initiate? You weren't formally trained by a group. That's essentially what a wilder is. Someone who learned to channel without that structure of a formal group.
Okay. Do wilders include those who do not survive the transition?
Well, they're dead, so.
I mean, but are they considered? I mean, but are they considered wilders?
I guess. I mean, no, I don't think so actually, because they never learned to channel. So
that's true. Yeah.
Okay.
Then like
they died in the process.
So. Yeah. Technically, every person before puberty is a wilder then, because they haven't learned to channel yet, and they could channel, but we don't know.
And so we hear that like 1 in 10 is something along 1 in 10 people who channel are born with the spark, and 1 in 10 of those are only 1 in 10 survive without guidance, or something along the right. It's 1%.
That's only on this side of the Dragon Wall.
Yeah.
Because in the Aiel Nation, no one is left behind when they get the spark. They're all trained, and they find every last one of them that it happens to.
Yeah.
So.
Oh, sorry. I was just going to say that, and the perfect example, like, I mean, the perfect analogy to that is like, the way people kind of bogart in our world and in Catholicism, because that's what the Aes Sedai are kind of based off of. We might be getting a land fear in a second. She's standing on my desk. Because they're the Aes Sedai and the White Tower are kind of like an analogy to the Catholic Church and the Pope and the Vatican and stuff like that. So like if you look at Christianity, like they kind of control information, control education. So like the Aes Sedai are very cloistered. They don't teach the common people about the one power. They don't, it's not common knowledge, like what the spark is, or being born with it, or that it's detrimental, or that like, it could kill you. Where in the Aiel culture, channeling isn't like a taboo that people look on, like like people look at. Even female channelers in the Westlands are kind of taboo, and like, people stand off from them. There's even entire countries where it's illegal to channel. So like,
yeah. That's
so does every Aiel who channels a female, would they be considered wilders?
Yeah,
absolutely.
well, to the Aes Sedai, yes. And
I mean, I can quote Honora.
Well, you could quote Aes Sedai all day, but but Aes Sedai consider anyone not trained by Aes Sedai to be a wilder.
Yeah,
okay.
I would. Well, that's the Aes Sedai's definition of wilder.
Yeah. But are they the only ones who use it?
I don't know, but
yeah, I'm just asking. I'm just asking questions.
But I would take it a step further, and like I said, I would say a wilder is someone who was not formally trained by a group. Mm-hmm. Where in the Aiel culture, they're formally, like when they find a girl who can channel, whether or not she becomes a wise one, she's taught by other channelers to channel. So, and the same thing with the Windfinders. Like I'm sure if like a kin did have a baby and it was a woman and she could channel, I'm sure they would like send her to the White Tower first, and if she got turned around, they would bring her back, and then they would teach her. So like,
we're talking about lots of blossoming teenage girls dying. This would be, I would think that this would have like. Be known. It's like, okay, when you turn 13, you might die.
Well, I believe some small villages actually did have probably a name for it. And in one of Nynaeve's POVs in the Eye of the World very early on, and it's actually the chapter is called Listen to the Wind. Moraine tells Nynaeve about when she got all of her powers, when things happened, and Nynaeve told her she was lying, but then Nynaeve told her, Moraine said, this is what happens to some girls, and Nynaeve started remembering who
all
other
the girls
this happened to.
So the idea, I think it's they what they call breakbone fever. That's what so like Nynaeve had breakbone fever, but she survived. Egwene had breakbone fever, but she survived. And then there were several other girls that Nynaeve remembers in that scene that had breakbone fever.
Egwene had it at like 5 or so, though, right? She was a little girl.
Well, some girls go through puberty earlier than others, which I'm sure some of the women here can attest to.
Huh. So breakbone fevers is just a female affliction, we think, maybe?
No, it can happen to men too.
No, because men do the same thing. Men will also die in there when their spark activates or whatever you want to say.
Interesting. Okay.
Yeah.
I didn't think of that.
The breaking of the world, there haven't been any men to train any men, so
Most of them die.
every man is a quote unquote wilder.
Yeah, until the Ashaman come about.
Yeah.
Okay.
The other thing about Wilders too that they have that they don't have going for them is not only is if you're born with the spark dangerous in channeling and you could die. Well, I mean, we don't know if that's right. I said that was a theory. Like, we don't know if that's the right thing, Danalu, but like that's the theory. Egwene had it, Nynaeve had it, and they were both channelers. And then other women, other young girls have gotten it. Not women, not older women, just young girls around puberty, around the same age, and they die. And that's how they die. Like, they die from a weird, uncurable disease that came out of nowhere. And like, so the theory is that what they call breakbone fever is the channeling sickness from the spark. Like, that's been an accepted theory for a long time. I mean, we don't know if it's true. I don't know if it's true. It makes sense. But we do know it happens. We do know that when women don't learn to channel, a lot of them die in a mysterious illness from channeling. Like, they get sick and die. Like, that happens. So
one final question then about this. So Nynaeve, that was the first time that Nynaeve healed Egwene, and in fact had like this, was able to track her by healing her.
Yes.
Right?
Yes.
So is this what more or less what they do in the tower? Is they have a healer just kind of heal them?
No, because you can't heal them. That's the other piece of evidence that that's another piece of evidence that goes towards breakbone fever being the channeling sickness is, and Nynaeve talks about it in Eye of the World, how even when Egwene had breakbone fever, Nynaeve got her weird feeling that she sometimes got when she tried to heal people, i.e. she was channeling, and that didn't even work. That didn't even heal her. She had to recover on her own. And then later in the series, we find out that from the Aes Sedai, that once the channeling sickness starts, there's no curing it. Either they make it through it on their own or they die. So, I mean, that's I'm not saying unequivocally that the breakbone fever is the channeling sickness. It's just, there's a lot of parallels that line up.
There is definitely.
That is an interesting conversation. I like that. That would be fun. I'm leaning against it, Tom. But man, that would be a fun.
Yeah, we know channeling sickness is real. Like, whether it's like, forget about breakbone fever. Forget about that. It doesn't matter.
Right.
We know channeling sickness is real. We know if the women channel, they can get channeling sickness if they're not guided through it, and that they'll die or not. So, like, we know that is fact. That's canon. So we'll just focus on that because we're not talking about breakbone fever. Yeah. But the other interesting thing is that we haven't talked about yet is women who can learn to channel that never know.
True.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So, like,
go ahead.
How many of them are there? Like, since the Aes Sedai don't go out and look, and this is another fault of the kin, and a fault of a lot of the channelers. Not so much the Aiel, because they do kind of look, but not. They don't have the purpose of going out and searching for them, but they do look. And the Windfinders look for people who can channel, like amongst their own.
Well, we do have a group that does find all of them as well. The
Johnson,
yes. So that's a pretty cool.
But they're bad.
They're bad. They're bad.
Yeah.
But
they're bad.
They just do that. They do find them.
And the Ashaman themselves go through that test that Logan, like with the flame, and I mean, in retrospect, that is the morality of that test is like, hey guys, see if you can go and die from madness with me. Check it out. Check it out.
Pretty much.
If they didn't learn, they wouldn't have gone mad. They wouldn't have done anything, you know?
Yeah, but another theory that has been talked about for years, like I don't want to say it's mine because it's not, like I don't remember where I heard it first, but definitely at JordanCon at some point in the last 17 years, or Dragon Mount or Tarvalon.net that's been around for 25 years, that the reason the Aes Sedai are in such a poor footing at the time of the books, i.e., they're not marrying anymore. Like the Aes Sedai used to marry more often back in the day, and they used to have kids more often. Yeah,
definitely.
And they used to go out and look for women who can channel, and then they stopped at some point. And now it's taboo to do that. Now it's actually looked down on to do that. That it was the influencing of Ishamael and through the Black Aja, with Ishamael through the Black Aja influencing the White Tower to reduce them. Because like if you look at the White Tower, it's way reduced to what it should be. And
I thought that was about Oh, interesting. So it's like they are culling, but they don't mean to be
on purpose. Yeah. So Robert Jordan, because we all know that our time happens in the wheel, like our time, like our time where there's no channeling and no one knows about channeling. So like they call this, like when they refer to this time, it's like the time when there's no channeling, when channeling is lost. So at some point we have to lose channeling. It has to, and we know that it's kind of tied to the soul and genetics. So like it has to get bred out. So essentially the Aes Sedai have really kind of accidentally bred it out of the Westlands a lot, because they made marrying for themselves kind of taboo. Also, men are so toxically masculine, they don't want to marry a woman who's more powerful than them in their standing, social standing, and whatever. And then and then they kill men who can channel or gentle them, and we don't know if that has an effect on if they can carry, if that inhibits them like passing on the ability to channel in their family line.
They actually talk about women betting gentle men. Viren talks about that POV.
Yeah.
So I like to think that in this world, like in our age, we all have the potential ability to channel, but it's somehow like laid dormant, like we've lost instincts. We've also lost channeling. And in this age that we're reading about, I still feel like everyone could do it if they were like so trained. If they became like Bodhisattva, like Hindu worshippers, like on the mountaintop meditating.
I don't think anybody can do it. They talk about the soul in the books, about the soul having the spark.
Dana Lou, that's a great question. Like that's something that's a great question. I've wondered that a long time myself. Like how does it work? Like where did the spark like just get lost, and like maybe there's lots of people who can learn to channel
Yeah, raise your hand. I mean, I remember trying to move things with my mind.
Always. Brandon Sanderson played with this a lot, and I really liked it in Mistborn. So I won't spoil anything for Mistborn too much. No story stuff, but basically the magic system in Mistborn is they eat bits of metal and it gives them powers. Some people can do that with all the different types of metal, and some people only one type of metal works. But we find out later that there are more metals that no one even knows about that other people can burn. So people that never knew that they can use magic essentially can use magic. And there's far more people who can use magic than was previously thought, because no one ever tried to go out and look for it. And also some of the metals are really expensive and rare, and you just don't give them to people randomly. So, but they figure that out later on. So that's the type of thing like that the Aes Sedai don't do. They don't go out and look for it because, we don't have to do that. People will come to us. And then, now all of a sudden they got like 5 Aes Sedai to go fight the last battle.
Yeah,
that's fascinating. I love that idea. I thought it was just kind of the moral and hubris
It's probably a little bit
of the power. It's like the power just corrupted them over time, and you see how structurally it's allowed to happen.
Yeah.
They've had their own
people.
January 6th.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, even good people, Suan, Moraine, Lelaine, like even good Aes Sedai have that a little bit of an ego because like here's this group that's been around for 3,000 years and like they've always been in this position of power in the hierarchy of society for 3,000 years, and like it just is it's not a natural thing, but it happens to people and it becomes so accepted in society that it gets perpetuated.
It's almost like blaming
racism.
Blaming it on Ishamael then it almost gives them a pass. Let's just call it, giving them their just dues.
Yeah, I would say I wouldn't give them a pass, but I would say Ishamael fanned the flames.
Oh, absolutely.
Because that's what he did everywhere. He never. I don't think it was ever purely the shadow. Because it's not. Ishamael isn't the shadow. He didn't have contact with the Dark One over that time. Like he wasn't able to contact the Dark One like he could once the seals started to weaken. So like it was all Ishamael. Ishamael's human, so it's still just human. It's human hubris and human ego. It's just and I'm sure it existed in the Aes Sedai prior to any kind of influence from the outside, and it could have been just purely them. But I honestly do think because the theme that we see through the entire history of the Westlands, from the breaking and the founding of the White Tower to the time of the books, is that all of the big major events, all of the major mishaps, all of the major shortcomings of the side of the good were because of plans that Ishamael laid out over the course of 3,000 years.
Yeah.
Arthur Hawkwing, mistrust of Aes Sedai and besieging Tar-Valon, the entire idea of the Seanchan. Who knows what he did in the Seanchan and Shara? I'm sure he did shit over there too.
Yeah.
Maybe he's the reason why they kill everybody all the time. Like, who knows?
Well, and just in general, for the common man, Sayonara is scary. I mean, you don't see it coming. These women have incredible powers, and although they've taken an oath not to kill you, well, shit, they can still tie you up there and hang you upside down. They can throw gags of air into your mouth so you can't talk. They can do all kinds of shitty things to you.
Yeah, and they took an oath not to kill you with the one power.
Right.
I mean, that's the other thing. If you think about it, and if it was real life, if one of those people walked into a city, the entire city would try to evacuate.
Yeah, they're nukes. They're little walking nukes.
Yeah, these are. I mean, walking death.
I mean, and that's the only reason it's normalized is because they were born into a society in which that happened. But I've always said that Logain, man, I would think I was Jesus too if I was walking on water and doing stuff like Jesus did. I mean, you just naturally think, hey, I must be the dragon. I don't know what these prophecies are, but gosh, I'm magic, man.
They continually talk about the headiness of the power and how you feel like you can do anything. Even Rand.
It's a drug.
Yeah, I can do anything.
Yeah.
You see it best in Rand's POV throughout the books, him grappling with that.
Oh yeah, from the time he even touched Kalendor and tried to bring a child back to life.
Oh, Noman Garden asked a question that I want to reference, but I honestly don't know the answer to it. I'm not as eating the metal, the one above that. First of all, Noman Garden, I'm sure you can kill whoever you want with your charisma. No one would question you when you make decisions. But for the metal question, I'm not as big of an expert on the Sanderson stuff as I am on the Wheel of Time. I think there is actually like some sort of theory in the Sanderson world that the level of radiation in the metals has something to do with the powers that they give you. So that would be something you can look into in like the Cosmere track at Jordan Con or one of the Cosmere websites. But I honestly I don't know the answer to that.
Let us shift away from Sanderson. Let's jump into the Windfinders.
Before we leave the kid, who is the strongest kid?
The strongest kid?
Yeah.
The strongest.
I don't have my.
I believe
I don't have my companion on.
Going
me.
on, man.
I believe it was one of the two that Van Deen was taking care of.
Okay.
When they figured out that who killed Adelis.
Yeah, I mean, we could like it's in the like if we look in the companion, it has the chart. I just don't remember. Garina, is that what you said? What a Holocaust? Yeah, I don't remember. There's a literal chart in the companion, and they're ranked. So Robert Jordan, in his notes, had a ranking system that he used for the one power, and it starts the lowest side of the power, like the weakest person, and in the book, the weakest person is Morgaze. She's literally the bottom of the chart. There's no one lower than her, and she's tied with nobody. So she is the weakest channeler in the entire series.
Yeah.
And that's it.
Female.
Poor Morgaze.
Oh,
No,
That makes me sad to hear.
Yeah.
She's the weakest channeler. She's weaker than
The
Andril.
weakest male channeler is Andril.
Yeah, well, she's the weakest channeler.
Yeah.
She's weaker than Andril too. She's the weakest channeler of Sidar. But yes, and she's number 72. So like it's a 72 point system. But then of course, to make things complicated, because we're American, we can't just number things correctly. Then there's another 6 points above that. It goes from 72 to 1, and then from 1 above that it goes 6 plus plus 5 plus plus 4 plus plus 3 plus plus 2 plus plus 1 plus plus. So like it goes a little bit above that.
Crazy.
Yeah, but that's how Robert Jordan ranked his channelers, like in his notes. So when they did the companion, they took that and put it in the companion. So it actually, all the channelers that are in the companion have their associated ranking that Robert Jordan gave them in his notes.
And Morgaze is 72.
She is the bottom of the barrel, lower than every other channeler in the entire series.
Mm.
She can barely embrace the one power. She's so weak.
Thing about Morgaze, though, her being able to wield the power really didn't mean anything in the books as far as her character. Morgaze's character was all about what she was.
She moved that cloth, though.
She did move the cloth. She did move the cloth.
Had a girl. Ryan, you're muted.
Piran would have still found her in that hole, though.
All right, I found the list.
If you want to go by the strongest non-Aes Sedai channeler, it's Olivia.
Yeah. Or yeah. Well, was it Olivia or Sharina?
Olivia is stronger than Sharina.
She is. Okay.
Yeah, I'm looking at the list right now. Olivia is 1 plus 12.
Yeah. And
Shari-
Sharina's 2, so she's
2 plus
one rank
11.
over. Yeah.
Okay.
who's-
It's not that much higher, but Olivia is the strongest channeler of Sidar in existence at the time of the books.
Who's Talon?
Talon is a windfinder.
No, she's not a windfinder. She's an apprentice windfinder.
Or whatever. Yeah, she's a sea folk channeler.
Okay.
And now the White Tower
Oh, whatever.
with Marililla seeing Devon, because Marililla had to find a way to run away from the windfinders, and she knew that she made herself believe that taking Talon to the White Tower was more important than her oath to teach.
Yeah,
So,
Daniel, the power ranking system, he explains it somewhere in the companion, but if you go to any channeler in the companion, you'll see the number next to their name.
Nice.
Like Rand is 1.
Yeah, Rand.
And Shamael is 1. Lanfear, Semiraj, and Olivia are all 1. So, which is interesting. I always forget Semiraj is that much stronger than everyone else. I know we're not talking about Aes Sedai, but I always forget that she's that much stronger than everyone else.
She is terrifying. And the fact that she's like, even through Matt's point of view, one of the most beautiful women he's ever seen, is even more terrifying. Because she was taller than most men and was psychotic.
Yeah.
Yeah. Lanfear's the same level as Semiraj.
Yeah, number 1.
1 plus 12.
Yeah. I forget how much stronger she is. Like when I think strongest channelers of Sidar, Semiraj is not a name that comes to my mind at first. Like it's always Nynaeve, Lanfear, Olivia, but Semiraj is the top. She's literally the top. She's the strongest.
When I think of channelers that actually are powerful and not in the White Tower, I do think of the Windfinders. I think the Sea Folk. I mean, besides the Damane, the Sea Folk are really best utilized. They got a good system going, I think.
I think that they're a little bit too arrogant. At least from the point of view that I get from most of, because do we get any male Sea Folk POVs at all?
I don't think so.
I don't think so either.
Oh, we don't. Because Barack, you just hear his voice. Yeah, right. No, we don't. But they seem to be arrogant. People who don't know them still should treat them like they're, I don't know, royalty.
Yeah, well, they suffer. Like I said, all of the cultures, not all, most of the cultures that are in the Wheel of Time world suffer from the same issue, and that's their isolationist way of thinking. And that's why Egwene's. That's why I really love what Egwene did at the end of the books, and that's all novice and accepted at some point in their teachings have to go learn with the Windfinders, have to go learn with the wise ones. Yeah.
No, not all. No way. They made a deal. Remember, they couldn't use them all. They wanted to have more, but they made a deal, 3 each.
No. But I mean, not they take them and make them accepted. That accepted at some point in their training go and learn from wise ones, and then go back to the tower, and then go learn from the Windfinders, and then go back to the tower.
Yeah, I didn't get that. I get it.
She said what she wants to do. She said, I want this to happen, and then she dies. Yeah, and then she dies, and then when Cadsuane becomes Amyrlin, she says she wants to do that. We don't know if that happens because we don't have any information from after that. But
aren't
through with that, then it does happen. So
aren't they all isolationists because they're afraid of Aes Sedai's usurping them or manipulating them or take their channeling women? Right?
Well, I mean, they isolate from everybody, not just Aes Sedai though. They isolate from everyone. The Sea Folk isolate from the Aiel isolate from the Sea Folk isolate from everybody in the Westlands. So.
The Sea Folk are the PTSD survivors of the series to me. It seems like they are reacting, everything they need to be in the upper hand of a deal. They got fucked over some way back in the day, and as a culture, their whole thing is we won't get fooled again. Yeah.
Unless
Say again?
No shit from them.
Yeah.
I want to say hi real quick. I want to say hi to Togue 420.
Yeah.
Nice. Happy to have you join us.
Yes, you're in the right place.
And hey, Squirrel, nice seeing you.
And to be honest, I really think that I want the Fourth Age to be this awesome time when technology gets married with the One Power again, and we almost get a new Age of Legends, but we know that that's not going to be the case because we have to get to our time, and when we get to do we remember a civilization that happened before our time that was amazing? No, before our time, our human time. There weren't humans.
We have Atlantis.
Yeah, but those are theories. The idea in the Wheel of Time is that there was that civilization, but something happened to literally wipe it from the face of the earth. So at some point that has to happen.
I mean, and Tom says some ages end in fire, some ages end in ice, right?
Yeah, well, we know at least for a little bit of the future that guns have been invented. They called them roar sticks or something like that. We know that trains have been invented and train tracks have also been invented.
Yeah.
And
Well, I mean, they're not far from that. They're like 5 years from that at the end of the book. Like they already have a steam engine that can move. So like,
I know that, but
yeah,
look into the Aiel and what happens to what I believe the Shido, way into the future, where they're still hunting, where the Shangshin are still hunting.
Yeah.
Aiel.
That's not that far in the future, though. That's Elaine. That's Avienda's children. So that's one generation.
No, that's Avient. No, Avienda's children were the ones that betrayed, the pact. Like her granddaughter betrayed the pact. But she back. I mean, she went forward way farther, way farther.
But the person that she saw through their eyes was her grandchild.
That was just one of them. She went just as far ahead as you go back in the original, what the original Wise Ones did. And if you reread it, there's like
that doesn't matter though. Like but that doesn't matter because we don't know how long. Like there, first of all, ages don't have a set time. An age could be a month. It could be 5,000 years. So like 5,000 years in the future, there could be a fall of a like maybe. We know that something bad happens with Avienda's kids, and they're still at war with the Shanshin. Maybe they destroy the world in their war. Like,
so you're right. Something has to happen. No,
something has to happen. Yeah.
And that's all babies.
Yeah. So, but we still have the 4th, 5th, 6th, and 7th age, right? There's 7 spokes. Yeah, so I mean, this next age could be a magical age of super magic where everyone's using magic. I mean, it could be like so many things corrected, but there's still pipes. And there's so much time for it to fall apart.
but if we like, things are happening like on a curve though. So like we know channeling is being bred out of society. So that's not something that just turns suddenly. You know what I mean? Like, so like if you follow the curve, even if things get better, they're not going to get that much better. It might just slow it down a little bit. It'll flatten a little bit, but it's still going to go down. Things like losing an entire people's doesn't.
Well, okay. Well, no, I mean, channeling as in how many Aes Sedai there are is down, but we just found out 1,800 kin, and the Two Rivers is blossoming like flowers with channeling women. So we might be on an upswing. We don't. Yeah,
we do know. That's the thing. We do know that channeling is being bred out of people. It's not. It's people. Less and less people are being born with the spark and with the ability to learn. The reason why that there's more in the Two Rivers, there was at least 3 of the most powerful TAVERN to ever have existed in time in the Two Rivers, and then the reason why we have more and more is because we needed them. The pattern put them there, but that's still not a lot. That's not in the scheme of things. That's not a lot.
So you're saying the pattern needs the magic to die?
No.
Well, it's the wheel of
I mean, several things are. I'm going to keep pushing back here. You said that Aes Sedai stopped looking for channelers. How do we know?
But not only stopped looking, killed men who can channel.
Yeah.
Gentled them, which we don't know if it has an effect or not on whether or not they then can progenerate the channeling gene or whatever.
But all the Ashamen. Yeah.
And stopped having kids themselves. Yeah, but all the Ashamen don't matter. We're talking a 1-year period.
But genetically, though, they could be passing that down to 20. Yeah.
That's a 1-year period. So you're talking one generation versus 3,000 years of generations. That's the difference. Like you're focusing on 2 years, 1 year of the books, and not the entirety of time. Like that, you have to look at the entirety of time. Like over the course of time, it's going to go down. Like it's not going to go up. Like it's not going to just suddenly go and go up. It's going to keep going down. It may plateau and take longer, but it's still going to. It has to. Like it has to get back to our time.
But could they not? Like, what about all the changes Egwene is bringing, or try to, or might? Those things could dramatically change. Yeah.
Could. I don't think it will. It could.
You don't think Cat Swain's infinitely wise rule is going to be full of success?
Tom's right about this.
Maybe it will for 5,000 years, but at some point in the future.
It's going to have to happen. He's right. It has to happen. So.
Well, we have to assume that the White Tower is way depleted. There was a lot of sisters that die.
We don't have to assume. It is.
So it would be in Cadwade's best interest to be like, yeah, we'll take Aiel, yeah, we'll take Sea Folk, we'll take them all.
Right
We'll
now,
take old people.
Going to have a big boom.
Yeah, but see, that's again, you're looking at right now.
Yeah, exactly.
The damage is done. The damage is done. It's been done for thousands of years. Like, the damage is done. You can't fix it in a generation. You can't. It's not possible. There's not enough. There isn't, like, people can't live long enough and have as many kids as you would need to have to change it as dramatically as you would need to change it to stop it. That's what I'm saying.
What about Noah?
How many kids can a woman have? 700 years
in one lifetime. She would just, like, every single channeler.
But their
just
lifetime 700 years.
Yeah, well, every single channeler would have to have a baby every 9 months for their entire lifetime to change the direction of the way channeling is going. But like I said, and like you said, Jensen, we know it doesn't happen because eventually channeling is gone.
But it's not dying in the Windfinders, right? Don't the Sea Folk have generate? What's that?
It's dying everywhere.
Oh, okay. You're really depressing me right now.
It has to happen.
All gone.
I know, but we have 3 or 4 more ages to go. We have 4, 5, 6, and 7.
What age is the pinnacle of people channeling? Was that the Age of Legends?
Probably, I think so.
Because now it has to be on a down slope. So if that's true, if the Age of Legends was the pinnacle, that means in 2 more ages it'll be gone.
I actually want to argue that there isn't, like, maybe channeling never dies. I think there's channelers now. I think, like, the great meditative, yogis. Channeling. They're astral projecting. They're floating around.
I've seen those guys that are, like, bouncing around while in the lotus position.
So
Come on.
Getting like 3 feet of air. They try to have, like, Olympic gymnasts do that, and these guys couldn't even get an inch off the ground.
So what's that? 25 people out of 7 billion?
Yeah, but it means it's dormant. It's just like it's like a dormant, like,
it has to get to that point. So we have to go from 1 in 10 to 1 in 200 million.
Yeah. Well, that makes sense. Yeah.
Something catastrophic has to happen for that to get to that point, is what I'm saying.
Yeah.
And I'll tell you, the first person that, like, it comes back to, they think they're Jesus. I'm telling you guys, they're the Messiah. They take over the world.
I mean, the reason why Robert Jordan wrote it like this is so that we can have these discussions. That's why there is no information about this hard and fast. There's only the vague hint how this stuff works, and then he leaves it up to us to extrapolate it so that we can have these discussions. And that's really why I love the Wheel of Time so much.
Yeah, I agree. So I guess let's jump to the Shanchin. Shanchin. Oh, please.
So I've been waiting to say this because we spoke of age. I really, really would have liked to have seen how Sorelia and Cadsuane would have approached and treated the kin. In every instance, when Cadsuane met someone of age and who was very seasoned, she respected them. Even down to Olivia. So I'm wondering what she would feel like when she met these quote-unquote wilders, who some were older than her even.
Like 150 years older.
Yeah, so I'd like to see how she would have treated them, seeing how she had treated everyone else. It would have been an interesting thing. But that being said, I would have liked to see an instance how Cadsuane would have treated Matt too. So.
Would Cadsuane consider, like, relinquishing the Oath Rod and letting everyone live a little longer?
Yeah, she was green, so I think she would have tried to jump on
that. She's almost done.
She was way more of a progressive thinker than a lot, but she still had the same failings that a lot of the Aes Sedai have, and that's she was bigoted in a way of thinking of the Aiel as savages and of the Sea Folk as savages, and then there's no way they could teach their women to channel as good as we could. Like, they still had the same problems, but at least she was a better thinker.
Yeah.
Did she change her mind though when she was amongst them, the wise ones at least?
A bit, not completely, but a bit.
Sorelia, she said to herself that it's very possible that Sorelia could become a friend. That was in POVs.
Yeah,
Definitely.
I think by and large the Aiel were better at were more accepting and open to people than anyone gives them credit for. Were they closed off in the Threefold Land? Yes. Did they not let a lot of people in? Yes. But they did let people in, and they were open to teaching people, to try to show people their way. And it was never like, you have to now be an Aes Sedai. You have to now be a wise one. You have to now be a maiden of the spear. It was, here's our way of life.
Yeah.
Take it with you or join us. And I think that is going to just become exponentially better and better as they go forward in time.
Well, they talk a lot about, and it's funny you mentioned that, because you're right. They talk about how in the books how some of the Carrion tried to adopt Aiel ways, and when Rurok was upset about it, they even said that some of the Aiel were taking it compassionately and trying to teach them.
Yeah.
You know? And so it was, the Aiel are a very interesting group of people to write about and talk about. Because I have some problems with them too.
Yeah, well, so I have a question. We have the Windfinders from the Sea Folk, and their specialization is weather stuff. We have the Wise Ones, who generally, it seems like they specialize in dreams. Or Teleran reality is kind of their realm.
I think
is this learned? Is this genetic? What is going on?
Good question, Dan.
The Aiel are so good at dreams. Why is it the Windfinders are so good at wind finding?
Well,
because that's how they're taught.
Yeah, and naturally living on the ocean, you would think that they would be really good at water too.
They probably are.
Yeah, because wind, they do coincide.
When that's what you know, and that's what you grow up learning, and that's what you're like. They hold dreamwalking in reverence, so like they try to find it in everybody.
And they're called dreamwalkers, and they're called wind finders.
Exactly. And in the Aes Sedai, they believe that dreamwalking is almost a lost art. Like, it's gone. No one could know it because no Aes Sedai know how to do it. So therefore, it must be gone. And they also believe that the way the Windfinders control the wind is impossible. So therefore, no one can do it. Since they don't know how to do it, therefore it's impossible. So it's not just. I think it's less a nature with them, and it's more a nurture in this type of in that vein. Like, it's not that the Windfinders are genetically better at using weather with the one power. It's just that it's something that's cultivated in their culture and taught.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, let's not get into epigenetics, but I would say that why would it not be genetically like significant if just channeling itself is significant?
Why would it be?
I think it's like working a muscle, and they use wind more than they use anything else to get around, to do things like that. And so by using that muscle and learning how to use it better and passing it down, they get better at it. I mean, you don't see them using Earth, you know.
I mean, but why are like, okay, well, let's take for example the White Tower. People coming from all over the place. They faction off based on ability. Some people are really good at healing. Some people are really good at killing people. You know what I mean? Like, why that difference?
Because
you think it's just
they don't faction off channelers based off of channeling ability.
Well, they self-choice.
But it's not off channeling. It's off of their sociological ideals.
Okay, that was misleading. Why are there just differences in ability amongst channelers all over the place?
Why can some people jump higher than me, and why can I jump higher than some people?
That's genetics.
There's some other Ajas that are better at healing than yellows. And if you remember what Egwene was told when other Ajas were fighting to claim who she was, yellow wasn't about healing people. It was about healing things. You know, like healing like groups of people together and things. She was actually told that. So it's like there's like everybody who was a yellow wasn't necessarily the greatest healer in the world. You had to love to heal.
Or medical healers.
Yes. Or just exactly.
Yeah. So like, are some people like there are? I think to talk about it in a sense of athleticism is a good example, because you can be born and just be naturally adept to getting stronger and getting faster and being able to jump higher than other people. But you could also train your body to do the very same things that some people can just do naturally.
Absolutely.
So are some windfinders maybe have a slight predisposition to be able to use windfinding better than some other channelers? Maybe. Do I think only windfinders can do that? Absolutely not. 100% no. 1000% no.
Right. I mean, Nynaeve herself listens to the wind.
Remember how good Dave was with wind? So
yeah, but Elaine learns how to do the very same things that the windfinders can do. Elaine learns how to do it. So it's you can learn. It's just one. I like how you brought up the yogis before because it's a great example, and there's a great example in Chinese teachings as well, like in the monks, and it's a famous Bruce Lee quote where some of the reason why a lot of the younger generation of the channelers are able to learn things better and faster is because the way Bruce Lee put it was their cup isn't full. It's hard to teach somebody who thinks they know everything already.
yeah.
I didn't know Bruce Lee read The Wheel of Time.
Yeah. So he always there was something he liked to use water as a example for a lot of things. So like when and you hear it a lot in kung fu type of situation. I think actually Uncle Iroh says it also in Avatar: The Last Airbender. But basically, Elaine and Egwene and Nynaeve and Rand and all of the younger channelers and some of the older Aiel, because they're more open-minded, they're smart enough to know what they don't know, and they're also humble enough to learn from people who know more than them. That is the true sign of genius in people. Like when you see people standing on the top of a hill saying, "I'm so smart, look at how smart I am," they're usually not the smartest person in the room. The smartest person in the room is usually the person who says, "I know what I know, but I know what I don't know," and they know where to look for the things they know, and they're willing to learn. So like that's what I think Egwene was trying to push in the White Tower, and I think for a while at least it may go in that direction. It would be great if it did it forever and everyone was great and they went back to the utopia of the Age of Legends. I just if time is truly cyclical in the way the people of Randland understand it to be cyclical, at some point we have to lose all channeling to society. So
I mean, it's a simple fact of that's a core fact of the entire physics of the Wheel of Time.
A fun way to look at it, though, is maybe because we do know that people, even just people understand things like general accepted facts in the Wheel of Time end up being wrong.
Yeah.
So, like, maybe they're wrong. Maybe there's not 7 spokes. Maybe there's 1,000 spokes. Maybe time isn't cyclical.
Well, no, Jordan does say it's circular.
No. Jordan never says it. They say it in the books.
Yeah, but no, Jordan says circularity.
I would love to. I would love to go back and see if he ever says it unequivocally, or if like the questions are always like, "How does it work?"
I think he says at the end of the audiobooks, he always says.
Yesterday, he says specifically, "I went with the circularity and not, time going, just keep going
linear.
He wanted it to come back on each other."
Okay, so I mean, I think it's a fun way to look at it, to maybe imagine maybe even the creator doesn't know how it works, but
yeah.
We don't know if there's we don't know for sure any of these things, and that's the point.
So Tom, when I first read this book, I assumed everyone was wrong the entire time, that this is just like this simple brain trying to understand a complicated.
They were wrong about the horn. Yeah, they were wrong about like some seriously specific things. You're right. So that could be.
They're wrong about a lot of things. A lot.
Yeah, even let me ask you this: what do you think? Do you think that Robert Jordan is the creator?
I mean, people refer to him as the creator. He never referred to himself as the creator.
No, of course not. But still, never called himself the one above all, and everyone does.
Yeah. I could tell you that Robert Jordan didn't like being called the creator. by the fans. Like I can tell you that because like Harriet has said that. So like it's not that he didn't like it, like he was angry about it, but he didn't feel like he was the creator because like reading was very important to him in the sense of like every person who reads his book, that book now is the individual's own creation in their mind.
He'd probably say we're the creator
in our own way.
Yeah.
Well, in Robert Jordan's own words, sometimes the best way for someone to achieve a title is for them to deny it and deny it and deny it.
Well, and he also said, I am in the Old Testament God. I created these things and I will kill them at will or whatnot. So, I mean,
well, that was when he was fucking with people when they would ask him not to kill people, though.
So he did refer to himself as a creator.
Yeah, but not seriously, though.
Not the creator. Dan, there might be many gods. So.
Yeah.
So.
All right, so I guess let's jump to the Shanshin. The Shanshin seem to have probably I would say
do nothing right.
The best control, at least over they had an actual system to find women who could channel and men. I assume too, right?
Yeah.
Didn't they have something with men?
Yeah, it's a holiday in Shanshin for all the people. It's treated as such.
I don't remember.
But from what I remember, I think the boys are all killed. If they are shown that they can
not dead wild animals,
and the women are turned into weapons and tools for the state, and not just that, entertainment and pageants and skylights and. Just everything in society you would want your magical slave to do. Yeah, they do.
Do you really think that Robert Jordan took the only American example from the books? Like they're the only example of an American society. They're Texas. They actually come from the continent that we're supposed to believe was North America, and they have a ridiculously horrible slave system built into their society. Like there's a reason they did that. That he did that. But
we would never have a female ruler.
Yeah. Come on.
We might if they could channel.
Yeah, that's a good point.
Yeah, I think
this is the
one too.
Go ahead, say that again, Jensen.
But I think the Sharans, they have a pretty bad way they handle their channelers as well.
At the very least, they're not just killing the men immediately. Like that's at least a little bit better.
All they are is livestock there.
Yeah.
It's
kind of a prime job though.
Animals.
Right?
Yeah, I mean, at least they don't kill them immediately. I mean, that's the only positive you could say, though.
Yeah.
They just put that on the OnlyFans. The Sharans just breeding away. So many viewers, so many ad revenues.
I mean, this is also else. This is not Utopia.
Well, here's the point I want.
Not Utopia.
The point I want to make about Shanshins is that this is these are the bad guys, but they kind of win. At the end, they exist. They take out the IU from what we see from Avienda.
Probably the most powerful entity in the world at the time when it's over. And they do kind of win, which is kind of sad in a way.
Yep.
But they also set themselves up for the biggest crash and burn in all of the ages. There's no way they could. They're the most unsustainable, group of people in the books.
Yeah, I mean, like you could see in all of human civilization, whenever you subjugate an entire group of people for a long enough time, they eventually rise up and kill you. So, at some point, they'll do it.
And also, I have to believe that the Crystal Throne itself was a huge, huge, huge factor in them as a society.
Oh, yeah. I mean, it's pretty accepted that it's a terangrial, so you just don't know exactly what it does.
So the Empress not only has the Demonia slaves, she has her entire population as mental slaves to her anyway, from a terangrial. Yeah, they're all fucked up.
You think it's like a compulsion chair?
I think because the way Rand talked about it was that when he approached it, he felt like he wanted to compel, like he wanted to obey her. So yeah,
Like,
I think
with
it's
an
probably
awe or something, right?
yeah. So well, yeah, because he was like in love with her, which is kind of what happens when you compulse people, kind of.
Uh-huh.
Like they become enthralled to you unless you give them specific orders. So like it seemed like it was a compulsion chair essentially. We don't know its distance. Maybe it has like a very light effect over the whole country. Maybe it only works in the room that it's in. We don't, you don't know. But
Well, did Tuon carry that ability
It's on it.
even unconsciously and affect Matt with it?
no, I don't think so. No.
Yeah, I think like the more you sit in the chair, the more, because it's like even in the to the Empress, may she live forever.
Yeah.
You know, it's
Yeah.
like
I also doubt Tuan ever sat in the chair prior to ever. Actually, I doubt she sat in that chair before she left Shanshin when she was like a child.
I doubt it. Yeah,
Yeah,
she hardly even met her own mother.
yeah. So I doubt she was ever in that throne. I doubt anyone other than the Empress, may she live forever, sits in that throne.
That's a good point. I mean, there was many assassination attempts on her life before that, anyways.
Yeah.
No. But so the point I was trying to make, I guess, was that what we would call abusive use of these women who can channel, turns out, unfortunately, to be a successful tactic. The use of these women, they are still leashed, they're still demonic and solemn, and
For now.
they're wiping shit up. They're from what we read, there is a genocide on an entire race of people called the Aiel. It seems as they are wiped off the planet, and this is because of these channeling women.
But the Aiel aren't really everybody, and it's again, time is a long time. Like all time is a long time. So like once their society finds out the Suldam can also channel, it's only a matter of time before people rise up, and you can have as many channelers as you want. If enough people get together, they could overpower Suldam and Damain. Like they don't need channeling.
Well, see, what I think is going to happen is what happened to Bethamin. Bethamin saw Sita channel. She had never channeled herself, and then all of a sudden started doing it. I think all of the Suldam are just going to start craving it once they know that they can do it.
Yeah,
as soon as they touch it once, it's over.
See, I think this is the Daishan or the Gen Aiel. That this is, or what we're seeing is that this is how the Aiel get broken. They get wiped out. There's a couple left. They become servants to these things. Eventually Shanshin can't handle the size of their empire. Some women who can channel actually break free. They start their own thing, and they have the Aiels, their servants, and it just kind of starts up.
Well, here's the other thing too. When we're talking about the circularity of things and how we're going to go back to like people being like this and being like that, it's not like you're going to go back all the way around in the circle and it's going to be Rand and Nynaeve and Egwene again.
Right.
You know what I mean? It's going to be different people. It's just going to be the same kinds of things that happen. Like,
right. I mean,
every thing that happens isn't going to happen again.
Correct, but the trope of having a servant that is so peaceful, no one would even think about hitting it because it's so subservient. This sort of thing, I can see. I mean, that's where the Aiel started from, and this could be.
I still disagree with you on
way
that.
it goes.
I don't think that the Daishan were servants in the sense of slaves, and I don't think they were subservient. I still don't think that.
Yeah.
I don't think that either. I do think that some of their relatives did become that in Shanshin.
Yeah.
I mean, the Dakavale are slaves. Like there's not really they're treated it with no reverence. They're the exact opposite of everything the Daishan ever were.
But what I'm saying is, when and how did they become who they were? It's just like the Aiel becoming warriors and things.
But there isn't a they, though. That's what I mean. Like the Dakavale are the same thing as any slave society in any society.
Well, but at some point, don't you think they could have been a group of people who were put in a position where they had to serve people?
That's what they are. That is what they are.
Okay, that's what they are now. But what were they before?
Right.
anyone.
They were everybody. Like anyone could be made Dakavale. Like high blood get made it.
Now,
Soldiers get made it.
Now. That's true now. I'm saying before. What was the catalyst that made
people wanted slaves?
The
catalyst was people wanted slaves.
Okay.
They're ones, like Dakavale means ones who are owned.
Okay, but there's some Dakavale who are proud of being Dakavale. Yes.
No, there aren't.
Yes. Eganen's mother, Dakavale, to the Empress herself, was able to speak to her, and
that's brainwashing, though. There were house slaves in the American South during slavery that thought they enjoyed being slaves, but they didn't really enjoy it.
So were Sojin slaves too?
Yeah.
Okay. So, but there were Sojin who were proud to be who they were.
But that's because they were brainwashed.
Okay. And they were treated also like royalty.
Only by some people, huh? But they weren't actually treated like royalty. They were they were respected by extension the people that they served. They weren't treated like royalty.
Selucia was treated like royalty.
No, she wasn't.
Even in the POV, Tuon says he respectfully bowed to Selucia just like he did to me.
Okay, respectfully bowing to somebody is not being treated like royalty. They didn't wait on her hand and foot. They didn't do anything she wanted. She couldn't, at a whim, order people dead.
Yes, she could. Yes, she could.
Okay.
I can prove it.
You're wrong, but it's fine.
I am not wrong.
Selucia was not on the same level as the High Blood. She wasn't.
True.
She was looked like that as for people that were.
I think Jensen's saying that shit rolls downhill, and she had power over all that underneath her.
She only had power over people that had no power because
you can
quote whatever you want. She was still a slave.
There are some.
I love talk.
Other blood, what to do? That's quoted.
That's fine. She could walk up to any commoner and give them an order, and they would have to do it. She could not walk up to anyone in the blood and give them an order, and they would have to do it.
But that's still a level of respect.
She also could not choose to not be a Sojin. If she said, "I don't want to be a Sojin," her owner would be like, kill that person. Now she's dead. She's a slave. She was brainwashed to think that her position was a good one.
I get what you're saying, Tom, but you're wrong on a couple of levels.
Okay. Which one? Wait. What one level am I wrong on?
Okay, here's the first one. You just said that she couldn't choose. She was originally Sojin. After Tuon graduated or whatever, she gave her the choice to be Sojin or not.
So her owner freed her. So let's.
And she chose to be Sojin again.
Her owner gave her the choice.
Tom, let him finish. But this is the same stuff that the Jin Aiel did. They had the same thing where they had to ask permission to marry and shit.
You have to ask permission. That was out of respect.
They were owned.
They were not owned.
It's the same fucking thing to me. Go on though, Jansen.
There were definitely Sojin who could order blood. It's said in the books. I can find the book.
Maybe the show. Okay, listen. But the fact that they can order a blood around does not make them not slaves. Maybe a Sojin who is owned by a higher blood can order a lower blood. But that doesn't mean.
I'm not saying that's not true. Of course, they're still slaves. But
okay, that's what I'm saying. That they're slaves.
That they could do that. They could definitely do that.
Yes, their culture had slaves that had more power over lower slaves,
and were treated like royalty by some people.
They were treated nicely by people who didn't have as much power as them.
Yes, but that's exactly what royalty treated like anyway.
Yeah, and royalty, but also royalty. Having a royal system where you worship people for no other reason than they say that they should be worshipped is bad.
Yeah, no, Donald Trump has a valet, and people people
Yeah.
would shake his hand, and so you say,
Yeah, and so an entire culture of people was brainwashed into believing that just because someone had a title, that they had the right to kill people and order people around. That's bad.
Sounds like a king and a queen.
Right.
Which is bad. Kings and queens are bad. Like, it's a bad thing to have. It's a bad form of government.
Okay, I agree
No,
with that.
I mean, but that is what monarchies are. I mean,
yes.
So if we look at England, I mean, this is how it works. So if you are the servant to the Duchess of so and so, yeah, there's a queen, there's a king, there's a prince, but you're still pretty fucking high up there. And I think that's what Seleucia was because she was on the high team. So even though she was, I mean, yeah, I mean, there is a certain amount of respect even in a shitty situation. I will say one more thing on this point though, but if you show me one Daishan who was not a servant to an Aes Sedai, then I will agree with you.
Well,
Until that happens, every example we have, they are servants to Aes Sedai. They are hobbits.
That's a straw man argument. You can't ask someone to prove a negative. That's not how science works. Show me every single Daishan, every single one.
All the ones were listed.
I think
all the ones were listed are slaves.
So two or three. Okay.
I'll tell you a Daishan.
Hold on. So wait, hold on. There's two humans. There's two people in this stream right now that are puppets. Therefore, all humans are puppets. That's what you're saying.
All humans in the top row right now. Yeah.
So all humans are puppets. I got it. No, you're right.
If you're in the top row, yeah. As of right now, yeah, that's true. So it's true.
I miss Beth. I miss Beth.
I'm just using your logic. That's your logic. That's what you just said to me. We meet 5, 7.
I don't think so. No, this is all we see of them. This is all we see. So if we say that slaves are slaves, but yeah, if we were to put this type of relationship in Shanshan, we would see it as it is. We wouldn't see these people as having agency. We would see them as being servants, as they are. They are identified with their red hair. They're identified with the way they dress.
Do we know that they had to be Daishan? Do we know that they couldn't choose?
We don't hear otherwise. So all we hear are about the Daishan. So,
but that's not how information works. Because we don't hear otherwise But we also don't hear. Do you want me to stop talking? Is that why you're playing the music ladder? Because I can.
No. Sorry, we just got. Didn't mean to be rude. Just got a super chat, just saying, hey, thanks for that.
Super chat music, yeah. Thank you, Will.
But we also don't see that they say they are slaves. So that logic is fallible. What I'm saying is it possible? Yes. We don't know it for a fact, and we do know is that they weren't. That there was a utopia where no one was treated like that. So you can infer from the information we have about the Age of Legends that they probably weren't slaves.
I mean, yeah, I hear what you're saying. I deduct differently. I do see them as an inferior. They're treated. They're isolated because of who they are. They're identified as being servants.
I don't think
you absolutely could look at it like that. But when you look at the entirety of everything we know about the Age of Legends, that wouldn't be the logical path to follow, because no one else in the entirety of the Age of Legends is ever treated like that. So that's my only point there. Slavery is baked into the Shanshan culture, so much so that people think it's a good thing to be a slave.
But we can't see. But we can't take the same logic to the IEO here.
No, because we don't see anything. We don't have enough information, and the information we do have points us in the other direction. That's the. I'm not saying that your thought is wrong 100% because we don't know.
The only reason I think it's wrong is because didn't they have a pact with the Aes Sedai?
Yeah, you don't make agreements with people like that.
You don't act as a slave. You're just
as an indentured servant, you did. Oh, and what this pact? Hold on, this pact was generational. So you were born into this pact, Jansen.
You don't know that.
It seems like it was a singular event that they referred to.
You don't know.
It might be something they choose. It might be like a confirmation or something. But
evidence of it. We have evidence.
That's all I'm asking. All I'm saying is admit that you're not unequivocally right, and it might be.
Oh no, I never said I was.
This
This is just a belief of mine.
Yeah, okay.
I think both of aspects of you guys are right. I don't think they were slaves, but I do think that it was that being an Aiel was generational and was being born into.
Do they call them? Hold on. I don't remember. Do they call them Daishane Aiel or just Daishane?
The Daishane Aiel. Start calling themselves Daishane Aiel after the meeting at Roridian. No, before that. No, after they split up to be Tuathalan.
So the word Aiel doesn't come into it until after
I'm sorry, I'm wrong.
I don't remember. I'm just legit asking. I don't remember.
After the first killing, that's when they started calling Daishane, because they split off and they started protecting the Daishane. That's when they became. That's when they
Aiel.
just became.
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay. So, but the word Aiel wasn't during the Age of Legends. It was just Daishane.
Daishane, yes. They
Okay.
No, they were called Daishane Aiel.
Yeah, I think they were
the
Daishane
word
Aiel.
Aiel did exist. Okay, I don't remember. That's why I was legit asking.
They were called the
And
Daishane Aiel.
they were known. They were identified by their red hair and by
Because
their.
remember when they knocked over Charn's grandson in the Age of Legends? They said, "Oh, honey, he's Aiel," and they pick him up and they say, "Hello, Daishane."
I'm with Wadaholic Aussie though. Let's get back to channelers.
Yeah.
So
I think. I mean, what else? Yeah, what else, Jansen?
Well, we're still talking about the Shan Chan, and I was thinking about the big differences and similarities. The big differences are with the Shan Chan. None of the channelers had, I dare to say, like a secret group or a like an elite group of channelers that were revered. The ones that were revered were the Soldam. They had the high esteem, and they were treated like blood, and they had the only group they had were that they were all Soldam and wore the gray lightning bolt outfit and all those things. But they were treated very good. They lived well. They had money. They had prestige. All those things, and their charges, I would say, so they didn't have a group of people like the Windbinders or like the Wise Ones or like the Aes Sedai. They didn't have anything like that, or the kin.
Ryan, I love you, man, but the music is really killing my ADHD. I can't, it's too loud. I can't hear the music. It's like my brain is going like 10,000 miles an hour.
By the way, Ryan, our chat was not thrilled with our side. They want the juice. MaTsDaGger even put a super chat saying, "Let's discuss our topic." Guys, you ask and we do.
The Daughters of was it the Daughters of Silence or the Sisters of Silence?
Daughters of Silence.
I don't know. It was the daughter. Because now I don't know.
Thank you, Tom. Thank you for bringing that up.
Yeah.
Because these two, only one of them.
I give props to Wadaholic Aussie. He brought it up.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, props. So the Daughters of Silence, I love this topic. They were a group of women, for people who don't know, who ran away from the tower as accepted. I think it was 2 of them. And they started gathering channelers trying to teach. They called themselves the Daughter of Silence. Now, out of all of those people, I believe it was 17 people that they gathered. Only one of them, after they were disbanded by the Aes Sedai, I forget her name, one of them became an Aes Sedai. And I forgot whose POV talks about it. It might be Pavara, but because this is such a one-liner. God, I can't remember what it was. But they tried to defy the tower, and they managed to get away with it for, I believe, 6 years, something like that.
That's when they were on the garden, or is that where it is? Like,
she was a brown sister, the one that was the Daughter of Silence. I don't remember, or daughter, whatever that thing.
Were they sisters? Like actual sisters?
One became one after they broke up the group.
All that stuff broke up.
No, I don't remember what her name was, though. I believe she was brown.
Yeah. And, then we have, here's one, no one ever talks about the Isle of Madness.
Yeah, I was going to ask about that, actually.
And because we have a whole lot of channelers down there, too. that only the sea folk have seen, and every time they've come within eyesight of it, they see craziness and volcanoes, and I think of like the Land of the Lost. I think of like the Isle of Madness.
I always wondered if like the Isle of Madmen was like, if do I have a ball here? I don't know. No, I don't. Like if the Isle of Madmen was a like if the Earth is a globe, right? Like, you know, the planet is a circle, is a globe. If Shale Ghul is on this pole and the Isle of Madmen is on this pole, and maybe it's like tied to the Dark One somehow, and like maybe like it's not channelers and it's just like or it is channelers, and it's the influence of the shadow in that area that's completely fucking up everything that's there, because it's not just channelers, everything is fucked up there.
So are we under the impression that Shale Ghul is on the North Pole?
It could be the north of the
Blight.
We don't know.
I think it's north of the Blight.
Well, Demon Dread says that Shale Ghul was a place for vacationers and a place for the lovers of the rustic before the boar was
Canada.
Yeah, but there was also no extreme weather on the whole. But there was no extreme weather on the whole planet because they controlled weather on the whole planet. So to not have a polar ice cap would make sense.
True. That's definitely true. But Demon Dread also says that about 100 miles north of Shale Ghul, it's nothing but ice.
So maybe they stopped caring after that.
Yeah.
But that's the only reason why. I mean, we know that Shale Ghul is near a pole, whether it's the South Pole or the North Pole, we don't know.
Yeah.
But do we think maybe the Isle of Madmen is the other pole?
Yeah, like kind of like the Lesser Antilles.
Yeah, I mean it's directly south of or north, or whichever way that you look at it. I mean, it doesn't matter at that point. But it's directly in a longitudinal line.
You're possibly getting like a direct line from the taint, possibly.
Or just maybe
I'm down for a crazy theory like that.
Or maybe just because like the influence of the Dark One isn't just a singular point, but in fact a longitudinal line through the entire planet. The map.
No.
Which map though? The one that was in the big white book, because that's not correct. Or the one that
come on, chat.
So I thought that the Isle of Madmen was kind of like if Australia was just like southwest, kind of near where I don't know, like in the middle of the Pacific, kind of.
Yeah, it's supposed to be. That's what it's supposed to be.
Yeah, it's like.
Yeah, I always thought of this more like Pangea, or the early beginnings of Pangea separating. Like in terms of
how it's drawn.
Or just how fast they're traveling on boat and shit. Like it's a long time if it's the actual globe that we're on, and the continents are in the same place. It's the same globe, but I believe the continents are squished closer, like Pangea was all combined and all that.
In a sea folk vessel from Tyr to Tanchico would be 10 days.
Yeah, and it took them months to cross the Arith Ocean, which is what it takes to cross the ocean now on a boat, a sailboat. So,
we just don't know what's on the other.
That in Winter's Heart, when they first, what's the boat's called? The Victory of Kidron, that Tuon's boat. She actually says that the months that they've been in the boat, there was like 5 or 6 months they had been in the boat.
Yeah.
Coming. I love that name. That's my favorite name for a boat. That's an awesome name, I think.
Sky squirrel. We got 2 squirrels, right?
Yeah, I'm almost 100% sure the Isle of Madmen is meant to be just a joking reference to Australia.
Yeah.
It is kind of directly longitudinally in a direction opposite of the Blight but specifically Shale Ghul, because like we know the Blight extends around the whole pole of wherever, whatever side of the planet that is. It's probably the North Pole. Shale Ghul is located in the Westlands. It's located just north of the Westlands. It's not over Shara. It's not over the Shanshan. It's over the Westlands.
So eventually we're going to get a guy who teaches himself how to channel from down there called Grom Dundee.
All right, the Madlands are further south, but still separate from the southern ice cap. So you're probably right. It's probably around Chile, you know, maybe around there. I don't know much about the Isle of Madman except for, you know, they apparently all fucking killed themselves, right?
Yeah. And we like so if Robert Jordan was very careful to get a lot of like anything that he knew was scientifically real and stuff like that he wasn't playing with his own physics and his own magic system, he tried to get correct. So we know that the Westlands, the Aiel Waste, and Shara are meant to be Europe, parts of Northern Africa, and Asia. And the Isle of Madman is meant to be Australia, and the Shanshan is supposed to represent North and South America. We don't know how much of the continent. We do know that most of the land is gone, both from just naturally the earth changing, the shifting of tectonic plates, and the breaking of the world.
And the breaking itself, yeah.
Yeah. But it is roughly close to the same distance that it is for us now, because like shifting tectonic plates takes millions of years, and it's only been thousands. So
yeah. Let me ask you guys to close this out. You are a female that has been born with a spark. Not your fault, but congratulations.
And I can channel Sidar.
You can channel Sidar.
Okay.
Maybe. Depends on what society you grow up in. Where do you want to grow up? We'll ask Jansen first. Where would you, as someone who could not help but channel female half of the one power, who would you want to be?
I would probably. I'd want to be Carrion, because they would have prepared me the best for going to the White Tower.
You know what, Jansen? I was like, who the hell is Carrion?
Wow.
Okay, Carrion?
Yes, I would have been Carrion because they would have prepared me for what I had in store for a life living in the White Tower, with the math.
So you would want to get trained by the Aes Sedai?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
Tom, how about you?
Absolutely the Aiel.
Yeah.
If I was a female presenting channeler of Sidar, Aiel.
Ryan, how about you?
I don't really like running, so I guess I'd have to say White Tower.
I would say sea folk, man.
You just want to walk around without your shirt.
Yeah,
on.
you just want
to titties, get some tattoos, get like
you just want to get your nipples tan. That's
all.
Not
even White Tower for me. The brown Aja specifically, because of the knowledge. Because of like, I think Viren was the most knowledgeable person in the books to me. She knew the most. She was one step ahead.
And what would your focus be as a brown sister?
As a brown sister, my focus would be Tel'aran'rhiod.
See, but cool. Jansen, the only difference between a brown Aja and a librarian is a brown Aja just lives longer. You can do this stuff without the power. You don't need the power to study.
Yeah,
right.
Power to use Ter'angreal that you do study,
and there's that.
Access to knowledge, and knowledge is power. I mean,
well, Jansen, I want to see you just with smudges on your nose, being all being like stuck in some like musty old.
Yeah,
building.
I want to see you with three men and a green.
Jansen,
remember, if Jansen lived in Randland, Jansen would just be a gleeman. So
yeah, that's a good point.
And I'd love to be a gleeman, so I'd be happy being a gleeman. I always think my wife's an Aes Sedai anyway, so it's good. They do marry Gleeman, so
Leaving water, nice.
Apparently, I'm an Andorran stonemason, so.
Andorran stonemason. Okay, Ryan, and what you had said you wanted to go to the tower. What Aja would you pick?
Yellow.
Yellow. I'd pick yellow. I think just because you get to use magic.
I would be blue. Absolutely.
Right, got it.
If I had to be an Aes Sedai, I would be blue.
I'm always like if we're playing Gauntlet, I'm the magic dude, like healing people from behind.
Oh, Ryan.
And that's I like to just shoot you from behind.
people are awesome.
I'm
Yep.
usually, if I go by what I play in video games, I'm either a healer or a tank. So I don't know. Like, yeah, I'm not sure. But you know, some of the most well-read Aes Sedai were green, Adelace and Van Dien.
Yeah. See when you talk about video games, I just thought that's weird because I always pick whoever the weirdest guy or girl is. I don't care whoever it is. If it's like the teddy bear, I'm picking them to fight. Like I don't care. I'm gonna have the weirdest guy.
In D&D, I'm a bard, and I promise I am going to be a cult leader before this campaign is over. I am going to have throngs behind me.
Yeah.
My own compulsion.
Yeah, like I'm.
So what's your guys' final thought? My felt friends. What's your final thought for non-Aes Sedai channelers of Saidar?
I'll go first, Ryan. I think it is a dodgy situation because you are dealing with a life-threatening affliction, I guess, right? I mean, if 3 out of 4 die, man, I would be a scared parent. This would be, I'd be like, oh shit, my kid may die when they're 12. My kid may die. Say again, Jansen.
Would you even have that knowledge that you could die?
Well, you would assume that enough kids have died that you know that this is something that could happen. I would assume that happens, right?
Let's say post last battle. So like at least there's a lot of information out there.
Yeah. I think that channeling will be more and more weaponized. I think the Shanshin have kind of the horrible but the right way to, if you're going to take over something, you use the tools that you got. And and I think that the White Tower, the only reason they were accepted and weren't like shunned, because they had the ability to take over just like the Shanshin. I mean, if you are magic against non-magic people, then why aren't you, in control? I think that they shoot themselves in the foot a lot with you backed out of the accepted test halfway through. Fuck off. Bye. Kick. I think these are all arbitrary things that they do that isn't necessary. They could have had a little bit more empathy and kept a lot more people. They self-isolated on their own and caused, as you said, Tom, it caused their own demise. But I don't think that channeling is going to be a good thing. I think it is going to be more and more weaponized in the Fourth Age. I think the Shanshin are pretty much the template for what is going to happen. There'll be healers, there'll be these things, but no one's going to have time to study in libraries, Jansen, when the Shanshin are still at war. These things are still going to happen, and I think that's unfortunately what channeling.
Wow, shots fired, Dan.
What Dragon's Peace?
What?
What about
Dragon's Peace?
Apparently, it didn't exist for the Shanshin into the Aiel. I think that there's probably loopholes they can.
Didn't do what she did.
She said no.
They ignored it. Eventually, they ignore it.
I thought the idea is that Aviendha changed the future.
Exactly.
So that whole thing we're talking about might not be relevant.
Yeah, I like. Was it Cerelia that was like, then name one of your children a different name, and you'll know that you can change the future. So
it was Bear.
So amazing.
Or Bear. It was Bear. Okay.
Yeah, Bear.
So like I liked you. There's you could go either way and say she couldn't change the future, or she could, and that's the argument of fate or free will. It's it's
Her grandfather
kinda-
said her grandfather and her, when they went forward in the pillars, they said specifically, Randolph Thor left with nothing for us. And he had no place for us when he left. He didn't know what to do with us. And they fundamentally changed that.
yeah, they had a place and they had something. So it's already different. Yeah.
But I do still think, like I said, Thorava took the remaining Shido back to the waste. I still think that there are going to be, and all those Shido that were taken from the Shanshin have a year and a day, and when they leave, they're going to be so insulted that the Empress is still going to say, any Shido I yield that you find, kill. And they're going to still have, some eel are still going to have that future. That's what I think.
Yeah. Yeah. Otherwise, red hair would be weeded out of the gene pool. And that doesn't happen.
Am I back?
You're back.
Okay.
Guess who's back? Bum, bum, bum.
I froze for a second.
Oh, that's what crazy look on your face. I was like, why does he look so angry?
Yeah, I froze. I was like, I hope I didn't freeze with a weird look on my face like Beth did that time.
Well, this has been an extended, the kind of after dark edition of
Tavern Talk.
We're talking for about 2 hours here, guys.
I haven't met anyone I love debating with in this about Wheel of Time more in my entire life of existence. I am so happy to be knowing you, man.
I love talking. I love talking Wheel of Time like all the time, and it's been great to like have new people because like at JordanCon, it's always the same people every year for me because I've been going.
Yeah, I mean,
it's nice to have new people.
Totally, man. I love this. This is life's medicine for me.
This is what I was most excited about the show. Honestly, like I was excited about seeing the more stuff, but new people coming into the fandom, new people discovering the books is the thing that I'm most excited about.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. And I got my wife and daughter on New Spring right now.
That's awesome.
Hey.
That's awesome.
Hey.
Beth has 3 generations of her family getting into the Wheel of Time right now. Her daughter and her mom and her.
Wow.
That's super cool.
I love it.
Yeah, no,
we have our sister and my wife that is our non-reader but show watchers. That people love hearing their opinion. Yeah, there's so many new points of view out here.
Yeah. All right, guys. Let's.
I see you have something. Did you want to share a screen of something, Ryan?
I do.
All right. Ooh.
All right, here we go.
Did you freeze too? Oh no, you're back.
No.
Oh,
ladies and gentlemen, we have yet to dip in. It's been a while. Let's look at our merch shop. If you are interested in getting any of these amazing designs, you go to thewaytheleaf.myspreadshop.com. That's right, thewaytheleaf.myspreadshop.com. Let's go to page 1, my favorite page. Look at these designs. You want a mug? You want a mug?
Look at that hat, Ryan.
You want a tote?
What happened to the male thong we talked about?
Yeah, there's the male thong. It's the marble bag. Go down, Ryan. Marble bag.
All right, no, we'll see. Oh, you can maybe convert this one. All right, yes.
I like.
You want it.
I like that. Go up. I like the tank top of like the puppets with the. Keep going.
Tank top right there.
There it is. I like that one.
Yeah.
That's
all right,
great.
so you know what to do. We would appreciate it. It's a great way to support the show.
Yeah,
we love you though, just for watching. It always means the world to us. We're signing off. Everyone, run for your lives.
Hold on, Ryan. I'm sorry, Ryan. Let's remind him. Next week we are not doing a show on Sunday. We are doing the charity stream for SAG-AFTRA, the Actors Fund, while they're on strike. We're with Wheel Takes. So we are doing Watchnary, and we are also doing a Tavern Talk. So those are on Saturday, August 19th.
All right, we'll tweet out the times.
We will tweet out the time, send out a link.
All right, well now, everyone, run for your lives. This is The Way of the Leaf.